After trips to the streets of Adelaide for the Clipsal 500 and the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park, the Porsche Carrera Cup is back this weekend for round 3 at Goulburn's Wakefield Park Raceway. The championship is evenly poised between series leader Craig Baird and Western Australian hotshot Dean Fiore. And the tight, twisting Wakefield Park circuit will test out the field of Porsches. V8 Supercar champ Gail Tander's with me in commentary. And this track is a track that they haven't been to for 2 seasons. And now it's newly resurfaced, a lot smoother, going to suit the Carrera Cup cars a lot more. We know how stiffly sprung they are. The smoother the surface, the faster they'll go. The records have been tumbling this weekend with the new surface in all of the categories at Wakefield Park. But the man who has done it best in Carrera Cup, he's taken his 2nd straight pole this year. It's Aaron Carrera.
We've tested here a few times in the past, and we tested here on Wednesday, so we've got pretty good knowledge of the place. I suppose just a lot of experience. It's all come out with a good car, and we've put it all together for a race win pole and hopefully 2 more race wins.
Cars on track for race 2 in round 3 of the Carrera Cup, and in race 1, Aaron Carrera managed to take another race victory. He'll start alongside Dean Fiore, so 2 West Aussies on the front row.
2 West Australian guys having a really good run this year in Carrera Cup and certainly looking to maintain their form and take the challenge up to Craig Baird.
Rodney Forbes, a career best 7th position in the number 8 machine. David Wall struggling a little bit in the Jim Richards Racing Shannon's Insurance Porsche, set for a start. Race 2, Wakefield Park. Carrera and Fiore on the front row, Craig Baird and Bryce Washington from row 2, but a bit of a bump on the way through the turn 1 kick.
Well, as they approach the kink, it obviously tightens up, and Dean Fiore wanted to try and get around the outside to see if he could hang out wide, but Carrera got a great start up the inside, on the dirty side of the track too, so nice even start by the front row.
Max Twigg in the Truelock Porsche just offline in the background. We're in car, the Michelin in car with Bryce Washington in 4th. Looking back at James Moffat. Moffat had a disastrous run at the Grand Prix. Here comes Fiore, a big lunge down at the hairpin.
Very late on the brakes, on cold tyres. Went in too deep, ran it wide. Carrera saw him coming, got back up the inside. Good move.
The run now down towards the hard stop at turn 10. Carrera covering the line. Craig Baird, the championship leader, right in the mix. This is in car with David Wall. And that is not what he needs.
Certainly not, charging back through the field, and got up the inside of one car and thought that he might be able to get up the inside of the second. I think it was one of the Honduras cars, and not able to get the job done. Safety car out, and hopefully not too much damage in the front of the David Wall car.
Those cars have managed to be cleared from turn 10, but that's the reason why the safety car's out. There's fluid on the circuit. Here's the replay one more time, and really not even close to being in the gap there.
Well, you could actually hear the rear tyres chattering. He was trying to pull the car up, and just extreme braking, couldn't get it done, and unfortunately tagged the back of David Russell. But back racing under green now, and Fiore's lost the gap a little to Carrera. Carrera, after the first actual start, got attacked, and I think Carrera's now cold tyres, wanted to get a gap, so Fiore can't get him.
Coming into this round, Craig Baird was a leader in the championship by 18 points from Dean Fiore, with David Russell 45 points further back in 3rd spot, but Baird just doesn't seem to have his customary pace early in the race in this one.
No, well, a new surface, and although a lot of the teams tested here in the weeks leading up to the event, the rubber's gone down over the course of the weekend, and the character of the circuit's changed a little bit, and certainly Aaron Carrera and Dean Fiore have got a handle on the new surface quickly and exploiting that advantage they have at the moment.
Back at Wakefield Park with round 3 of the Carrera Cup, and Carrera and Fiore, the 2 young guns from Western Australia, have streeted the field.
They certainly have pulled a big gap on Craig Baird, and this is not something we're used to seeing in Carrera Cup racing.
Michelin replay, Mark Sini in the Hallmark Porsche making a small mistake down at turn 1.
A lot of people have said over the course of the weekend that turn 1 is actually the most slippery part of the circuit since the resurfacing. Everywhere else, the track's dripped up as expected, but turn 1's still very slippery.
The fight for 9th and 10th. Jono Lester, the young Kiwi driving for Greg Murphy Racing this year. Coming back from a broken leg, in fact, after a crash with Rodney Forbes in the GT3 Cup in New Zealand. Still feeling his way in the Australian Series as Rodney Jane closes in the 3rd of the Sonic Motor Racing cars.
Jono Lester just finding that it's a little bit more intense in Australia, just finding his way as we see Bryce Washington up the inside of Sean Juniper.
That puts the Sunshine Coast property manager down 1 lap, and the leaders have driven away from this field. Max Twigg off the road, and with drama, he won the Pilatus Challenge for non-professional drivers over 30 years of age in the last round of the Grand Prix, but he's taken a bit of time there to find his way back to the track.
And one thing we are seeing there, as we go to a Michelin replay of Fiore running very, very deep and off the circuit. Incredibly lucky to get away with that. Fortunately, he had a big gap back to Craig Baird. Well, he did have a big gap. Now Baird's right on his tail, and it looks like from that incident that Fiore's lost the very small front splitter that goes around the front of the front bumper.
Oh, Craig Baird locked up. He was looking to the inside in the Leading Solutions Porsche. Manages to hold on to third spot.
And now he is under attack from Bryce Washington. What's going on lap 21 of this race?
Here's the Michelin replay at turn 8. Just locked the rears and so close to making contact.
Actually very, very similar to what we heard from the David Wall onboard camera early in the race, where he locked the rears, couldn't do anything to get the car stopped. Actually a very good job not to run into the back of Fiore's car at all.
Here's a fight between the top rookies in the series. James Moffat and Bart Moore just in front of Sean Juniper with some damage. Now, here's another Michelin replay. Turn 1, catching a few of them out today. That's Andrew Moffat in the V8 Super Loans Porsche. But the real issue this weekend has been the dust on the verges of the circuit, making anytime anyone goes off the track, it's driving blind.
Well, it's incredibly dusty offline and off the circuit, obviously, and when people are going off, people are complaining back on track that it's blocking their vision. They can't actually see where they're going. One bloke that can see where he's going is Aaron Carrera, and he hasn't got far to go.
A few more turns between he and the checkered flag in race 2 for round 3. Has done it perfectly. Qualified on pole with a new qualifying lap record for Carrera Cup at Wakefield Park. Won race 1 and has dominated in this longest second race this weekend. Dean Fiore with a comfortable drive in a second spot. But it's going to be Aaron Carrera, the Western Australian, will break through again for his 3rd race-winning Carrera Cup. He does it in style from Dean Fiore. Craig Baird, the championship leader, home in 3rd after a pretty unbared mistake.
Well, I think Dean Fiore and Craig Baird can count their lucky stars there that the field actually opened up and there weren't too many safety cars because they held on to their 2nd and 3rd placing.
Let's take a look at the way they finished. James Moffat, the best of the rookies, in 5th. James Konduras takes the Pilatus Challenge in that race. Jono Lester rounds out the top 10.
I just managed to miss the brake, to tell you the truth. I could make up something that sounds a bit more extravagant, but I just missed the brake pedal and then couldn't gather it up. Plucked a gear, which sent the thing sideways and went for a little bit of an excursion.
Welcome back to Wakefield Park. Now, Carrera Cup Series leader Craig Baird is discovering there are a number of young guns wanting his top spot, but the vigilant Kiwi has an eagle eye on his competition. Now let's start with Bryce Washington. Strengths?
Oh, look, he came out of the box, one of the toughest circuits we go to, Adelaide, and put the car on pole position, so obviously he knows how to qualify a car.
Weaknesses?
Look, he probably needs to find a little bit of consistency at the moment. He's had some great qualifying results, just needs to find that consistency and he'll be right there.
Next on the list is Dean Fiore from the Sonic team, and he's a guy who's been giving you a real run for your money this year. What areas has he been gaining the time in?
Oh, look, he's obviously put a lot of effort in off-season. He's got his consistency. He's there. He's fast in qualifying. He's won some races. He's gaining momentum. Very fit young guy.
Weaknesses?
Weaknesses, according to the team, mate, he spends too much time moisturising, but that's not up to me to say that one.
Let's move along, let's move along. Aaron Carrera, a guy who's in great form in the last round or two. He's really come to grips with these cars.
Yeah, look, the last 2 rounds, Carrera's had pole position. He won his first race at the Melbourne Grand Prix. Really hard track to win a race on. And his form here, so far he's had pole position and won the first race.
Weaknesses?
Right now, I wish he had one.
So is there anyone else worth worrying about?
Yeah, for sure. Look, young David Russell won a race at Adelaide. Real little street fighter.
What about his weaknesses, though?
Maybe a little bit like Bryce, just needs to find a little bit of consistency. Bar that, puts it all together, he's going to be a worry.
There's another guy down the end here that we should go check out too. Now, this is the guy I was telling you about. I think he's got some real promise, and if he can string it together, he stands a real chance.
He needs to pull his finger out this weekend, mate.
Time to decide round 3 of Carrera Cup at Wakefield Park. The cars lining up for race 3. Carrera Fiore on the front row, Baird and Washington Road 2, familiar suspects.
Certainly is, Aaron, and Craig Baird will be wanting to make sure that Aaron Carrera and Dean Fiore don't run away with this 3rd race.
Daniel Gaunt starting from 12th, the young Kiwi making his debut in Carrera Cup in this country. David Russell delayed in race 1. He'll start down near the rear. And Grant Sherrin, a change of engine in his car. The revs rise. Race 3 at Wakefield Park. It's all about the jump to that critical first turn. And Carrera again side by side on the run through the kink. And it's situation normal. Some dirt and debris there, though, to contend with.
Certainly is. Always a bit dusty going down into turn 1. We're on board with David Wall trying to get through the pack as we see Sean Juniper
motocrossing out through turn 1. Back in car with David Wall. Remember, starting at the rear of grid after a retirement from race 2, pressuring Mark Sini into a spin. That was tight.
Mark Sini seemingly like having the world's longest spin, and David really having to wait to see where his car ended up before he went around the back of him. And Mark, 3 points, turns his way through turn 3 on his way again.
You know you're struggling when the medical car's nearly gone by here. Here comes James Moffat pressuring Bryce Washington, Rodney Forbes and Rodney Jane lined up behind.
Now Rodney's got a very good run off the hairpins, trying to get up the inside.
Whoa! Contact between Moffat and Forbes. James was pretty keen to cover the line.
But he was very, very late in his decision. As now Rodney sticks it up the inside into turn 1. Has he ran too wide? No, he hasn't. Good job.
So that leaves Moffat to contend with his teammate Rodney Jane, the two Sonic cars. Approaching the left-hander at turn 2, Barton Moore in the No Fear Porsche lined up in behind. And he and Moffat are fighting for the Rookie of the Year award, but Fiore hustling the back of the race leader on the run to the hairpin.
8 and 9.
And we saw this in race 2 where Dean Fiore wanted to get by Carrera early. Obviously he feels that Carrera's vulnerable on cold tyres, and here in race 3 he's giving it to Aaron big time.
That's Bryce Washington taking 3rd spot from Craig Baird, and now the Gold Coast-based Kiwi is vulnerable because Rodney Forbes slips up the inside to take 4th.
Rodney Forbes absolutely flying in this one, past Craig Baird. I bet you wouldn't have said that, thought you'd say that in a sentence.
Drama down at the hairpin, a couple of cars off the road. Oh, there must be something down there by the way that Grant Sherrin simply flew offline.
Now, we heard a little earlier some radio calls go out to some of the drivers, just calling corner numbers, and obviously that was there to warn them about something on the circuit.
This is the Michelin replay again of James Moffat trying to get across in front of Rodney Forbes, but there's a bit of an overlap there, and we're hearing that he's going to be shown the bad sportsmanship flag for that. Now there's drama at turn 1. You could hear that that was James Moffat talking back to the Sonic crew with a puncture there, no doubt, because of the contact with Rodney Forbes, and it set off a real concertina.
Yeah, well, the guys certainly weren't expecting to go down to turn 1 and James Moffat be going that slowly, had to take avoiding action.
There's a spot up for grabs.
The spots are up for grabs in race 3 of Carrera Cup at Wakefield Park.
You have a gap.
And there's plenty of gaps throughout this field. A replay down at turn 8. And that took a while to complete for Rodney Jane. Some contact there with the young Kiwi, Daniel Gaunt.
And what we did see right at the start of that replay was Craig Baird getting back up the inside of Rodney Forbes.
Here's David Wall on the fight-back mission, trying to slip up the inside of Rodney Jane. And manages to squeeze in there. Rodney made a mistake, and you can see that the Wall car has been repaired since its contact in race 2, but he really has to mount a real fight back here.
Smooth laps, Rod. Let's just go. Nice and quick.
You reckon?
That would be the general idea for most races.
Go, buddy. 16 laps to go. You're doing really good. Just head down, concentrate, late braking, and you can catch these guys. Come on.
There's more psychiatrists out there than race engineers half the time, isn't there?
What we are seeing here is when guys go just a little bit offline, it looks like there's absolutely no grip, and they're sliding straight off the circuit. So when there's a little bit of pressure on, as there is here, Craig Baird's caught back up to Bryce Washington. Now, when the pressure's on, you run a little wide, you make a small mistake, it makes it look like a much bigger mistake.
Baird in the gap, turn 8. Washington gives him room.
And we just see there, Washington just half a car width offline, no grip, and look at the gap that Baird's pulled away already.
Forbes is going to catch you.
And that was the call. Forbes is going to catch you. Oh, Daniel Gaunt, the Kiwi, who's taken over this car from Ian Sherrin this weekend. They've had all sorts of problems. There's plenty of consultation going on the radio.
I think we might have to take a seat on the couch after this one, but certainly Aaron Carrera and Dean Fiore doing the job up front.
This is Daniel Gawn at turn 8, just in a bit too deep. Didn't want to lock the front tyre.
Way too deep going into the final corner, but did the right thing, straightened the car up and made sure there was no contact with the cars that he was trying to pass.
Now, next on David Wall's recovery list here is James Konduras. This is a home track for James and his brother Theo because they live in Canberra, which is just down the road. He makes it easy for Wall here. He knows that the youngster is charging through, and he's on target for a win in the Pilatus Challenge.
Just follow him then. Just follow him and we'll work out how to get around him later.
Very, very smart by James Konduras. Just let the faster car go and try and chase him, because ultimately that's going to be a faster way to finish the race off.
Speaking of faster cars, Craig Baird is sticking with the young guns in race 3, so the changes that have been made to the Peter Fitzgerald run Porsche are paying dividends. And he's really been focused on having a car that's strong later in these races, which are longer than they usually are.
On your front tyres.
A lot of talk about how to use the tyres, how to look after the tyres. We see David Wall not using the tyres most effectively.
Now he is having an absolute shocker. Tested in the week leading up to this round here at Wakefield Park. Had a disastrous run at the Australian Grand Prix in round 2. And he's going to have to mount a real fight back all season.
Wall is behind again.
Here's Baird challenging Fiore.
Big breath, mate. Take some breathing. Come down the straight, boy, because you're going to pick the pace up a bit. Come on, keep going.
And you saw there Baird, the championship leader, trying to get by Fiore. A replay at turn 1. Daniel Gaunt making another mistake. They've had problems with this car all weekend, but no problems for these three.
We've seen Baird really come on strong late in the race. He had no speed at all. He was back to 4th or 5th, and now here he is, back up to 3rd and challenging the 2 leaders on the last lap. Let's see if he's got anything for Fiore.
Now, in the bigger picture here, if he stays where he is...
You've got 4 seconds back to Forbes, okay?
That is going to bring the championship into line ball situation. He'll be equal on points with Dean Fiore after 3 rounds.
Well, that's certainly going to make the next round interesting, going to Perth, their home circuit for Dean Fiore and Aaron Carrera. So Bairdo probably played the smart card this weekend. He hasn't had the speed of the front 2, but he's been there the whole weekend, and certainly, while he hasn't lost the championship lead, he hasn't really got behind on the back foot.
It's been a faultless performance from Aaron Carrera and his team. On target for a clean sweep, the run through turn 7. A lap car to contend with, but Grant Sherrin won't get in the way of taking the checkered flag. So the young Western Australian, he's won races, but he's going to win his first round in Carrera Cup, and he does it in style, a clean sweep at Wakefield Park Raceway.
Great job by Aaron. Not a bad way to win your first round. Is a pole, 3 race wins. Very, very fast performance.
Dean Fiore home in 2nd from Craig Baird in 3rd. Washington and Forbes rounded out the 5, and David Wall recovered for 10th.
We've proved we've got the pace, and we've proved we can run at the front, and we've proved we can win races. Just hope we can, there's plenty more wins to come.
Let's take a look at the way the championship sits, and it's all tied up. Craig Baird and Dean Fiore tied on 5.28 from Aaron Carrera. David Russell, a tough weekend. He sits in 4th.
The grid girls are hot here, aren't they?
I guess I'll just have to take their word for it. Round 4 of Carrera Cup. It's home soil for Fiore and Carrera. It's a Barbagallo Raceway in Perth, supporting the V8 Supercars and the Big Pond 400 on May 10 and 11. That's it for Carrera Cup. On behalf of Garth Tander, I'm Aaron Noonan. We'll see you next time.